appears that former President Donald Trump's efforts to delay his New York criminal trial were in vain.
Oh no!
CNN reports that Judge Juan Merchan denied Trump's motion to dismiss the charges related to the hush money payments he allegedly paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels in order to prevent her from going public with their previous affair during the 2016 presidential election. So now, this case is not just about the hush money payments. It's actually more of an election interference case. Also a crime, okay, in which Trump has been charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records in order to commit or conceal another crime. That's what makes it more of a big deal, as normally in New York, if you're falsifying business records, it's a misdemeanor, but it actually rises to the level of federal crimes because it involves an election and said interference. So now the trial date has been set for March 25th. That's when they're going to start, getting a jury together. And it's actually just one of the many criminal trials coming up for Donald Trump before and the election, or it could be before the election. At least this one definitely is. He's been trying to delay all the other different trials, and ironically opened up room for this one. Congratulations. Now, Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, had argued unsuccessfully that the date for this trial, March 25th, is way too soon. Quote, "We strongly believe for a trial to start on March 25th is a great injustice." Wait, what about the right for a speedy trial? How about that? He added that the ex-president's legal team has been faced with extremely compressed and expedited schedules. In Trump's various trials, the schedule for these trials could overlap, he argued, and emphasized that their client had a constitutional right to adequate time to prepare a trial. You see, it's not just the right to a speedy trial, it's also the right to a very slow trial. Slow it down, everybody. Whoa, this thing's going just way too fast. You gotta slow it down. You gotta give us time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Trump should have thought of that before he did all this crime. Alleged crime. Now, Merchan, of course, rejected the arguments, actually noting that he and Judge Tanya Chutkan had corresponded already to try to figure this whole thing out. You see, now, Ms. Chutkan is the judge overseeing the former president's federal criminal trial related to January 6th and the attempts to overturn the 2020 election. So, there's so many different trials that these judges have had to coordinate and be like, okay, look, this is when I'm free here. When are you free? How long is this going to take? Okay. Now, Mediaite explains that because the federal trial was on hold for appeals regarding Trump's claims of presidential immunity, so Trump had been claiming that, hey, since I was president once, I'm immune to everything. Okay, you try to come at me with any charges, presidential immunity, 100% blanket immunity. I could do anything. I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and still, you can't charge me with anything because I was president once. So making that argument, and yes, that is the argument that they were making, not to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, but it would that would apply as well. He says, no, I'm completely immune from any and all prosecution since I was president, and especially in this case, for the trying to overturn the election. Well, look, I was president then, and that was my official duty, to egg on the January 6th crowd, which was simultaneously both an insurrection and not an insurrection. It's Schrodinger's riot. That's what it is. Oh, okay, great. So now, it was known that the federal trial would not happen in March, which left that month wide open. Wide open. Now, Merchan said, quote, he's not going to be in more than one criminal trial at the same time. There will be no overlap, all right? And he also had cut off Blanche, when he attempted to object and request a quote-unquote scheduling conference. Yes, let's come back later, okay? Let's come back in March, not for a trial, but let's do a scheduling conference. Let's get together and try to hammer out something that's preferably way, way into the future. Merchan said, That's unnecessary because, quote, you don't have a trial date in Georgia. You don't have a trial date in Florida. He then also had scolded the defense attorney for interrupting him, which I think is fun. So there's no reason to delay this one. All right. In fact, Matthew Colangelo, I probably said that wrong, sorry, senior counsel to the DA and former DOJ official, told the judge that Trump is just doing nothing but engaging in the same kind of delay tactics that his lawyers have tried to use for months in all these different cases, showing judges competing calendars to try to pit them against each other to see which cases are going to be heard first. That argument did not fly with the judge. Neither did the other argument that the Trump team used, which is, get this, media saturation. Oh, you see, the media, they're going to hear about this, right? The news is going to report on it because the former president, that's going to taint the jury pool. Now, he noted that the former president spent October, November, and December at a bank fraud trial, after which he spent another 2 weeks at a rape defamation trial against a woman that a jury had determined he had sexually abused. It's writer E. Jean Carroll. Once again, both of those things you would think could have been avoided by, I don't know, first of all, not doing fraud, okay? and secondly, not sexually abusing or raping E. Jean Carroll at a, Bergdorf Goodman's department store back in the 1990s. Yeah, I know. Imagine that. Like, not actually doing that. And later on, not lying about it when she came forward and calling her a liar, calling her kooky or whatever, and saying all these untrue things about her, which then allowed her to sue for defamation. Maybe you shouldn't have done any of those things, but you did, and now you're here. That's kind of like your fault, okay? You built that. Now, Merchan replied to that request, quote, You think that the saturation will be gone by then? When? April? May? Pretty sure there's going to be continued media saturation because, again, he's a former president, kind of a big deal since he's got all these different criminal trials. Okay? The arguments were so ridiculous that when Blanche had made them, they elicited laughter in the courtroom. So, but look, these arguments are aimed at one thing, as I mentioned. Delay. Okay? And again, the most ironic thing here about all of this, about those delay tactics is, well, since they were able to delay the other cases, he cleared the way for this one. He cleared the field. Congratulations, March. Now we've got a trial date. All right? Now, you could argue, though, that this is one of the cases that doesn't really matter. It's only about the hush money payments, right? Not exactly. It is an election interference case, okay? And it's ironic because this is the guy who constantly cries about election interference when he was doing election interference, trying to bury a story that could possibly hurt his election chances. Now, in hindsight, of course, hindsight's always 20/20, right? That story getting out probably would have helped him in his election because MAGA chuds, they don't care. But at the time, Trump's like, bury. Let's bury this story. It's going to be super embarrassing for me. So let's just organize a way to get her paid off so that she shuts her mouth. Okay? So election interference, right? Not only that, but what makes this different than the other cases is that it's a state case, except for the Georgia one, of course. The Manhattan DA is levying state charges. That is outside the president's authority. Now, that means that if Trump wins the election, he can't kill the investigation and can't pardon himself like he can with the federal cases. And so that puts an additional level of peril on him. And so March 25th, now we have that trial, and depending on how it goes, his delay tactics on the others, well, could have ended up screwing himself on this case.
Whoopsie.